All right, it's June 19th. This is my founder's journal for the week. I think this week was a good one. A lot of work, which is good. I'm not that great at like balancing stuff. So like I kind of got sucked in to work this week, starting on Monday, and was just like doing a ton of work with AI, trying to build some stuff. And so like everything else kind of like falls by the wayside. Like I was like getting up at 7 a.m., like starting work right away, work until dinner at 5, and then would work again after the kids went to bed till like 11. I've done that for like 4 days straight, and we'll probably do it again today. Which, yeah, I mean, that's frustrating. I think it's frustrating for me. Like I want to be a little more balanced than that. It's certainly frustrating for my wife and my family. It's just like hard for me to focus on anything but like getting the thing done that I'm working on. The goal for this week was to build out AI onboarding for Goodly. I've got all like the pieces put together. I think it's like the plumbing now just needs to be lined up. Like how do we like plug in a new customer into the onboarding sequence, or like what's the trigger to like set that off, because it's not just closing a deal, right? Like we have to have some inputs. So basically, right, it's like I can take a questionnaire, right, like an onboarding questionnaire, which we do with customers, and we can take transcripts from their onboarding call and their sales calls and have AI like process that all into like a client markdown file. And then once we have the client markdown file, we can run the onboarding sequence where it goes and does market research on the industry and their service area, who the competitors are. Like it can go figure out a baseline audit and come back with how they're ranking. It sets up keyword research, goes in depth on like what keywords we need to be focused on, and sets up those scans in local Falcon, and comes up with a strategy that like gets reviewed by a human and then spits out 2 deliverables, right? One deliverable is like this massive detailed markdown file on like everything we need to do over the next 90 days. And that is something that like the team will use. And really, I hope that we can like point AI agents at to say, hey, go do the things in here. And then the other deliverable would be customer facing. So it's like a Vercel page, right? With like a proposal for like, here's everything we plan to do exactly for your company. Here's where you stand today and whatnot. A little more detailed than we would go into on a sales call and sales proposal. So that's all built. It actually came out really good. I'm like really happy with it. I've put a couple existing customers through it, which then kind of triggered me to say like, look, I need to go through and do this for all of our existing customers. But it was actually a slightly different workflow, right? I wanted an internal facing like performance review. And so I built that out. I think it just finished running last night for all of our customers. There was maybe 20 or 30 that didn't get run for. So I got to figure out why that happened. But yeah, that's going to give a grade, like, A, B, C, D, for how well we've done, and go through like what was wrong and different things. So, I mean, just doing this, it's like changed a little bit of my mentality around what we're doing and the service we're providing. One thing, for example, is like we used to be really credit conscious in local Falcon. It was like, yeah, we don't want to track a ton of keywords, but the reality is like we have to track a ton of keywords, right? And right now, I think some customers like look like we're doing really well because the keyword that my team chose is just like a pretty lame, like uncompetitive keyword. And when we put in the more competitive keywords and we aggregate across 6 scans for 6 different keywords, like it gives us a better picture of how they're actually ranking. It's like my team is out here saying like, yeah, we're 95% on track with our SEO customers, but we have a 3% churn rate every month. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't add up, right? If we were truly on track the way we should be, people wouldn't be canceling. So it's like, yeah, we gotta maybe clean up some of that stuff. The other thing that we did this week was we deployed our first AI website, fully built with Claude Design, and then pushed to Claude Code, and then reworked in Claude Code. And then it turned out Claude Design released an update, I think on Tuesday, that actually makes it even better and easier to work with, and you can bounce back and forth between Claude Code and Claude Design. So that's exciting. I think that was like really fortuitous as we've been making this change. So we deployed our first site Tuesday, like went live, looks awesome. Like Core Web Vitals are way better than they have been with our web builder. And then it just like kind of snowballed, right? So like we got one site deployed, took us like a few days to get that up and running. And then in the course of another 2 days, we've gotten like 4 more sites deployed on it. So that's rad. And I think that's going to cut our dev time. It took about like 3 hours for, my dev manager to build it. And I mean, we're talking like not just like, like proof of concept build. It was like fully built out, right? Like met all of our quality standards and had been reviewed and audited and gone through quality control. And so yeah, I mean, still 3 hours, and it's like our normal sites are taking 8 to 15 hours, depending on the complexity and who the dev is. So that's going to save a lot of time. And frankly, I think the design was better than anything our dev team does. So there's that. We're deploying those all in Cloudflare, and like the net cost to deploy is like essentially zero. Where right now we pay like $12 per site per month to have like cloud hosting in this like web builder. So I mean, we're gonna save. I think over the next month we'll get all of our like website as a service clients pushed off of our web builder and onto Cloudflare with AI. And I mean, I think that'll save us like $1,200 or $1,400 alone every single month. We spent like $4,000 a month the web builder and like the cloud hosting through them. So we're under contract till November, and then I think we'll be off of it completely, which will be cool. Sales has been a little slow, which is like kind of to be expected. Like I said last week, we laid off one of our sales guys who kind of didn't meet expectations. My sales guy has been with me for years now. He was on vacation basically all of May. And anytime he comes back from vacation, it takes a little while to get the pipeline warm again and start seeing deals come through. So, it's been 3 weeks. Like, we should be starting to see a lot more deals come through between now and the end of June. I talked to him, and he's actually been averaging like, I think $5,500 a month through the first 5 months of the year. Right now he's at like $1,200 in June. So well off track. 4,000 is the quota. I talked to him yesterday and just said like, dude, don't miss your quota. And he's confident he won't miss it. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I don't know. It's about it. I think if anybody really cares to know about the sugar and gluten, that's been no problem. We haven't had any sugar or gluten this week. I'm going to do a blood test. I think like the end of June, maybe very first week in July, we'll do a blood test and see if it makes a difference. I felt terrible for the first few days and then better, like the week after that. At this point, I think I've just gotten used to it, and now it just feels normal to me. So I don't feel like significantly better or worse or anything. Yeah, I don't know. That's everything. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking. We're just working on making Goodly better. It's like, I think everything's got to get better, and we're a good company. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying we're out here like providing a trash service, but it's like, is it as good as I want it to be? No. Is the sales as good as I want it to be? No. Is the way we use AI as good as I want it to be? Not at all. So it's like, yeah, we got some work to do to get this dialed in across all of our domains and just keep getting better. If you're not getting better, then what are you doing? That's it for this week.